to RobMotive. Today I wanted to talk about Toyota Tacoma mods and liability. Now hear me out, because I've been thinking about this a little bit myself as I trade trucks in and out, mods and things that I have installed on the truck. Now, first off, let's start out with other drivers. Now, what I'm talking about, let's say that you install something on the truck and maybe you didn't do it right, or there's some defect, or who knows. For instance, we'll start off with the roof rack. Let's say that some piece of the roof rack flies off, smacks into a car behind you and causes an accident. Now, this is the roof rack that you installed. There's going to be some liability there, particularly if the people that had the problem, the ones behind you, find out that you are the one that installed that unit. Another one that's even more prevalent, I think, is on the back. You know, I've put a couple of things back here myself. I've put these tow hooks on, and then I also installed the beaver tail step, which is a pretty substantial piece. I mean, this thing weighs a lot. And if you don't secure it down properly and it comes flying off of the truck, particularly if you're on the freeway at a higher speed or something, this is going to become a missile. It's going to start bouncing and flying all over the place. And as heavy and as pointy as this thing is, you can bet it's going to go through somebody's windshield. Now, if that happens, well, we don't have to go into any detail, but you know it could be catastrophic for whoever is sitting in the front seat, maybe even the back seat of that car. One more example I'll give you, the D-rings in the front. You know, I put these little wires on to keep the pins from unscrewing or falling out. They'll stop that from happening. And I think that's a great idea for safety. If not for yourself, then for those behind you. Because if that pin ever comes out, you're going to have a couple of things going on. The pin's going to be flying, and it's pretty substantial, and so is that D-ring. If nothing else, you need to protect yourself from the liability that exists when you install mods on the Toyota Tacoma. Next up, how about warranty? You know, that comes up a lot on the channel. People ask, is this going to void your warranty? Is that going to cancel your warranty? And I always tell people, it depends. You know, the general rule, and I've mentioned this a million times, so we're not going to go into depth on it, but basically, if you install something in the truck that directly causes the failure of an otherwise warranted part, then it will not be covered. That's on you. So you have a little bit of Tacoma liability there as well when it comes to warranty. Next up, what about those in the truck? You know, the people that you're hauling around with you. You know, if something goes wrong, comes flying off, let's say that you installed a radio in the truck or something like that, and you didn't fasten it down properly, and you get into an accident and that radio goes flying through the truck. It's a missile as well. Let's talk about the driver's side grab handle. You know, there's a lot of people worried that that's going to cause a problem with the airbag, or maybe you fall forward and hit your head on that thing. But there's one on the other side. To me, that's a pretty minor thing to worry about. I mean, if you're in an accident that is that catastrophic, you're probably going to have a lot of other things to worry about. But nonetheless, it does create a little liability if you put things on the inside of your truck that can become missiles, or areas that people can hit their head, for example. What about fire? You know, if you do any electrical work, you know, I've done electrical work in the past, of course, recently on the truck. If you don't do it right, you could cause an issue. You could cause a fire in the truck. You ever see those vehicles on the side of the road up in flames? I'm not saying that they did a mod, that they caused it, but it certainly can happen. It's something else that you need to be careful, I guess. I need to be careful about when I'm doing mods like that. Never get into an electrical mod that doesn't make sense and you don't really know what you're doing, right? Have a professional do it if it's not something that you're comfortable with. The liability is just not worth it. I mean, if the truck catches on fire and you're driving down the road at 65 miles an hour, you might have a problem. Next up, resale. Well, of course, there's a lot of liability there for you, for your wallet. You know, every little mod that you do to the truck decreases the group of people that are willing to buy that truck. Because believe it or not everybody is going to love the mod that you do to your truck. Maybe it's the color, maybe it's the mod itself. We'll use that roof rack as an example. Changes the look of the truck. I mean, some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people complain about the sound that it makes. You know, people are going to go for a test drive and they're going to hear that. They may not like it. It may be enough that they're not willing to buy your truck, even if it's a cherry, if it's one of those pristine trucks. So it's something that you have to be cognizant of, something that you have to be aware that every mod you put on the truck causes the buyers, the group of buyers out there, to shrink. The last thing that I'm going to mention, this is something I've thought about recently. What happens if a mod that you put on the truck fails after you sell the truck? Let's say that you did the seat raising mod. You know, I had a fairly controversial video out there, a mod that I did where I put some seat spacers in to change the angle of the driver's seat and the passenger seat. And a lot of people were concerned that in doing that, I was somehow weakening the seat, and if it was ever in an accident, the seat would break loose. I guess you'd just go flying all over the truck. What people don't seem to understand is that the seat belt is what holds you in, not the seat, and the seat belt is not attached to the seat itself. So even if the seat did break loose, you still have that belt holding you and the seat in the truck. But nonetheless, let's play devil's advocate and say that you did that mod, and you sold the truck and left it in the truck, and then something horrendous happened. And the insurance company or the investigators find out that the seat had been changed. Is that going to come back on you? Do you have some personal liability there because you changed that? Maybe didn't even think to disclose it, and who would? I wouldn't. By the way, when I sold the truck that I had done that with, I did put it back to stock, just in the extreme case that something ever would have happened. And by the way, I don't believe that it would. I never would have done the mod if I thought it was going to be something dangerous. Anyway, those are just a few Toyota Tacoma mods that can actually cause a little liability for you. Leave a comment. Let me know. You ever think about these kind of things, or am I worrying to the nth degree? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels, Mod Driven, all about the Mercedes-Benz, and RobMotive JT, all about the Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? And while you're at it, smash the subscribe button here too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.